an old Canadian song from back in the 90s by the Crash Test Dummies. You might recognize them from But the big song was Superman's song, and if you listen to that one, you'd know that Superman never made any money saving the world from Solomon Grundy. Well, it's not Solomon Grundy in this fight. We got Mike Grundy from England taking on Movsar Evloev, and I'm really excited about this fight, and honestly, this is actually one of my picks for fight of the night. I think this one's a lot of fun at 145 pounds because you might be familiar with one guy and not the other. So we're going to get into both of them. Movsar Evloev, former M1 Global bantamweight champ. So you think about the guys that have come in from M1 Global lately. I mean, Robin Bogatov, not the greatest of showing. So what am I going to get for one of the lower weight classes? Well, Evloev in his first two fights, he's taken on decent competition. Sung Woo Choi was his first fight. Enrique Barzola the second. He passed those two tests with flying colors. And Enrique Barzola is the type of guy that could really kind of frustrate somebody. He can win in the scrambles. He's got really good boxing. Evloev beat him quite soundly. And there's two reasons why. Movsar Evloev is a guy that has a master of sport in Greco-Roman wrestling, and he looks great in those scrambles and in those wrestling positions. And we don't see a lot of Greco-Roman guys in the UFC. You see more freestyle guys like Mike Grundy. But one that really pops off the page for me is Marco Madsen. And I mean, he's really the pinnacle.
That's as good as
but
you get.
Movsar Evloev, a guy that can do those things really well. He's trained at ATT a bit for this camp, but where does he train primarily? Well, Tiger Muay Thai, and who have we seen from there lately? Well, let me go down through the list. Rafael Fiziev, we saw last weekend look absolutely amazing against Mark Jacasey. Oh, by the way, they have two champs that have trained there. Piotr Jan and Alexander Volkanovski. So in the lower weight classes...
Woodley worked on his left hook against Gilbert Burns there.
And then he lost that show with The Rock. But in this one, Evloev, there's a lot of things to really look forward to. He mixes in a good bit of striking with his ground game and his grappling. And I think his striking is only going to improve as he moves along, which is really scary if you're a featherweight. And on the opposite side, Mike Grundy, 2014 Commonwealth Games bronze medalist. You're taking on some Canadians in that one. But he has really good base in wrestling. His hands are good. He's got good power. But if he's going to win, the one thing that he does that I really like that you don't see a lot anymore, he does a good job of really switching levels.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot in this one. He trains out of Team Cowbow, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that properly. But with Tom Aspinall and Darren Till, who are both on this card, and he's cornered Aspinall in the past with Cage Warriors. He won a title in the regional scene, not one of the bigger promotions like a Cage Warriors. Like I said, Evloev from that M1 Global pedigree. This is a fight that's really exciting. What can you tell me about this one? What do you like about it?
So I really like, and I mean, you did a great job setting this up, really. The Evloev fight against Barzola, we talk a lot about Barzola because there's different levels of gatekeepers in the UFC. I think everyone just likes to throw out a term, oh, he's a gatekeeper, but I do think you have to be a little bit more specific about what gate are they keeping? Are they one of those guys who, okay, if you beat them, then you're able to go on and main event shows and be in the top 5? Are they a guy who, beating them just proves that you should be in the UFC, kind of like a Sam Alvey type? But Enrique Barzola is just kind of a 6 out of 10 out of everything. He's going to be able to show you a little bit of no matter what. He's got good volume, good wrestling. Evloev beat the brakes off him in pretty much everything. Like, there wasn't an aspect of MMA that you thought, oh, wow, Enrique Barzola is having success here.
So here's the thing, too. So Evloev beats Barzola. That's a really good win. And Mike Grundy's UFC debut, and like I said, he was a champ on one of those smaller regional promotions. He fights Nad Narimani, former Cage Warriors featherweight champ. And I know Narimani lost his last fight to Grant Dawson pretty handily, but Grant Dawson looks like a hot commodity at 45. And I know that fight was at 50. But Mike Grundy, in that fight against Narimani, like I said, nice level changes, nice high stance, good combinations. He landed a nice hook that really knocked Narimani out of commission, and then he followed it up and pretty much had him knocked out on his feet before it went to the ground.
And with Grundy, his level changes are kind of Chad Mendez-ish, where if he is able to get a takedown, even for a split second, and start making Evloev start to think, okay, maybe that is a threat, the wrestling, Mike Grundy has really good, like you said, fake the level change into an overhand, and he's good from either stance doing that. Really good at confusing his opponent, too, with that, because again, once you get that respect, it's kind of like if you're a basketball player, if you just start shooting threes and then you pump fake, the defender's going to jump at the pump fake every time, and you just go right to the rim. So it's going to make it easier the more options that you give Evloev to think about. So, like you said, I do think this is one of the more exciting fights on the card because you have the well-roundedness in Evloev, and not that Grundy isn't as well-rounded, it's just then you have sort of the classic wrestle boxing type duo that Grundy brings to the table. So I'm really excited.
It should be a great one. Here's the thing that I love. I think this is awesome. The odds open minus 270 Evloev, plus 230 for Grundy. They've shifted. Grundy's now plus 165 underdog. Evloev minus 200. I mean, it is an interesting stat because sometimes people go recency bias. Like I said, all the guys and gals from Tiger Muay Thai, if you want to count the Shevchenko sisters in there, have had a lot of success. So for people to go towards Grundy, I think it is interesting. Now, maybe it's, again, the Aspinall and Till connection. I don't know what it is, but if you look over on Tapology, out of 834 votes, 82% going Evloev, 87% decision. I think that's a safe pick. Again, I think this is a really interesting fight. I think Evloev is sound enough defensively that he can kind of get out of some of those parry shots of Grundy. I think he's going to be able to maybe stay away from the takedowns of Grundy. I would certainly favor him as a wrestler in this one. So I think all signs point to Evloev coming back off a tough stretch where he had a really bad motorcycle accident in February. He was able to recover from that, and then now he's here. This is a fight that was also booked last summer. Grundy was injured, so they fought since. But it's an interesting one. Who are you going with here?
I am siding with Evloev, but again, it's one of those cases where I would be surprised at all if Grundy's able to somehow get a TKO KO finish. But I just think Evloev, no matter where the fight does end up, even if Grundy is able to get the takedown, I do think Evloev is a good enough grappler to get back up to his feet and start to threaten with his own submissions or just his own chain wrestling from that position. And then on the feet, it's not like he's some slouch and he doesn't know what he's doing, and Mike Grundy can just blast him. I think this is going to be a really entertaining one. I'm siding Evloev, probably by decision, just because both guys are really hard to get out of it.
Really looking forward to this one. Both going with Movsar Evloev. You're going to want to keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We have 15, and I'm not lying, I'm not joshing you, 15 fights on this card, including an extended look at Whittaker and Till in our main event. Like we always say, Matt, with Fight Night Picks, let's get into it.